Tonight, Saskatoon police release few details about the city's 15th homicide of the year. A new law named for David Milgaard will make it faster and easier to identify and release innocent people from prison. A pre-Christmas storm drops significant snow on southern Saskatchewan.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, December 19th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. Police in Saskatoon are investigating a homicide. It happened Wednesday night and marks the 15th violent death in the Bridge City this year. Police were at this house just off 22nd Street for much of the day. They're saying little about what happened inside the bungalow, beyond that a person was killed. They're not giving a gender, age, or cause of death. The record for homicides in Saskatoon is 16, and that happened in 2019. Regina police have a new tool to combat impaired driving. It's a new van that will be used as a mobile testing laboratory. The specialized vehicle will carry a breathalyzer and fluid testing devices. Now, normally, these sorts of tests would have to be conducted at a police station, but now they can be done directly at traffic stops, speeding up police processing.
The average impaired driver takes us 4 hours from start to finish for an investigation, and it takes 4 police officers to conduct the investigation. With this tool, it now cuts us down to about an hour and a half to 2 hours for the investigation and down to 2 officers instead of 4.
The mobile breathalyzer van is a collaboration between Regina Police and Saskatchewan Government Insurance. SGI threw in $25,000. Regina Police say on average, 2,500 drivers are checked for impaired driving each year. 2 RCMP officers have been cleared by Alberta's police watchdog in the violent arrest of Athabasca Chipewyan First Nation Chief Alan Adam. In March of 2020, Adam was stopped for having an expired license plate while he was leaving a Fort McMurray casino. During the interaction, Adam adopted a fighting stance and swore at one officer. He was later tackled to the ground and punched by another officer. Adam had accused the police of assault and racial profiling. He was initially charged with resisting arrest and assaulting an officer, but those charges were dropped. The Alberta Serious Incident Response Team released its investigation report that concludes the officers were lawfully placed and acting properly. ACERT says there is also nothing to suggest racism played a part in Adam's arrest. Legislation making it faster and easier to identify and release innocent people from prison received royal assent this week. An independent body will be established to review wrongful conviction applications. It's a bittersweet moment for the woman who lobbied for this change. She's the sister of David Milgaard. He spent 23 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Chris Glover has more.
This is a ring that he bought himself, though.
A subtle yet powerful symbol that's pushed Susan Milgaard to keep up the fight to make Canada's justice system more just.
He's with me all the time. I'll be doing something and then the ring will move and it will give me strength.
In 1969, Susan was 14 when her 16-year-old brother David was convicted of rape and murder in Saskatoon. He spent 23 years in prison until ultimately being exonerated. For decades, his family fought for an independent review board to investigate potential cases of the wrongfully convicted. Their efforts have finally paid off. Changes are being made to the criminal code.
I'm really happy. I'm actually very sad because Mom and David aren't here to see it. So I still have the original.
You got the original.
Yes.
Prior to this, the only avenue was to appeal directly to Canada's Justice Minister, a rare and laborious effort.
It's going to ensure that the experience of the Milgaard family is not repeated.
Justice Minister Arif Virani touting the new law at the Toronto offices of Innocence Canada, a nonprofit currently working on some 130 cases of potential miscarriages of justice.
Do your best to get it right, because if you don't, David and Joyce Milgaard's law is lurking, waiting to correct justice.
The group's co-president, Ron Dalton, spent 8.5 years in prison for murder. He was exonerated after winning on appeal.
What we're now trying to do is make sure we find better ways to catch it and fix it much more quickly, so we can all have some confidence in our justice system.
The new law requires convicts exhaust appeal processes before turning to the independent commission.
It may not have actually affected my particular case, But many of the other cases we would have dealt with much faster.
The Justice Minister says it will take time to hire the commissioners, but he's committed to it.
Every single day is another day that how many wrongfully convicted are still in prison.
Even though you might think her advocacy is over.
Not just David and Mum are keeping an eye on him, I will be too.
Susan says she'll be watching closely to ensure what's now in law actually comes into practice. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
The Provincial Court of Appeal has given a thumbs up to the thumbs up emoji case, and the ruling could have widespread implications when it comes to legal contracts. Aishwarya Duda has the details.
Saskatchewan's highest court says it agrees with the notion that a thumbs-up emoji, like this one, can be as legally binding as a signature. The original court decision last year made headlines around the world and was all over social media. Now, the Court of Appeal has upheld the decision, although not unanimously. So let's back it up and look at how it all went down. The case involves a farmer in southern Saskatchewan who had signed a contract on several occasions with a grain buyer to sell his crop for a locked-in price, and that deal was often confirmed by text message. In March 2021, the grain buyer from Southwest Terminal texted the farmer to confirm a contract for 85 tons of flax at $670 per ton. But this time, instead of responding with a yes or looks good, the farmer Chris Octor replied with a thumbs up. A lot of farmers had trouble fulfilling their contracts that summer because of drought, and many didn't want to because prices jumped. And that fall, Octor never delivered the flax. Southwest Terminal sued Octor for breach of contract and damages. Last year, Justice Timothy Keene called the thumbs up emoji a non-traditional but valid response. He ruled a thumbs up emoji sent by text message could be considered a signature and amounted to a contractual agreement. Octor appealed that ruling, arguing the thumbs up only confirmed he received the contract but didn't agree to it. He has now lost that appeal. 2 judges backed the thumbs up as a valid signature, but Justice Brian Barrington-Foote is not buying it. He says using the text message address or metadata as a source stretches the legal meaning of a signature too far. Octor still has to pay over $82,000 to the grain buyer. Bottom line, be careful with those thumbs ups. They might sound rude to Gen Z, but you might be signing a contract in the eyes of the law. Aishwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Looks like some change could be coming in Ottawa. Sources tell CBC News that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will shuffle his cabinet on Thursday. Looks like it will be a major shakeup involving at least 10 people. Sources have told CBC News that David McGuinty will take over public safety from Dominic LeBlanc, and Nate Erskine-Smith will become the new Minister of Housing. Trudeau has some big gaps to fill on his front bench after a series of cabinet resignations over the past few months, and that includes Chrystia Freeland, who stepped down as finance minister just on Monday. Well, it's Deck the Halls at Cypress Regional Hospital in Swift Current. Every unit is taking part in a Christmas decorating challenge. The festive fun is part of a recent push to boost morale at the hospital.
It's the Christmas, so RX like Pharmacy Tree Farm, because it's a pharmacy.
Welcome to the Women's and Children's Department. Our decorations are the dilation station with the Baby Express. As you can see, all of our staff members are looking out the windows of the Baby Express.
Ambulatory care has done the movie theme, so everybody's taken a different spin on it. Like the cardiac lab, I'm really focusing on the heart.
We have Santa Claus here. Oh, and his stethoscope broke, but he was listening to the snowman's heart.
I work both in the Emerge and in the ICU. And I've recently taken on starting up a workplace engagement committee to help boost some of the morale and get rid of some of the animosity that we have here within our hospital. Like there was kind of a dark cloud over the building, and it was hard to be your best when that's there. All the different departments were encouraged to decorate one door in their department that would be judged. So it's kind of cool when patients come in, they see that and maybe put a smile on their face. So not only has it helped increase our morale, but hopefully the patients get some enjoyment out of it too.
It's got everyone kind of talking to each other, and just that lightheartedness and happiness is brought back to the workplace.
A cargo train derailed in northwest Regina on Thursday, blocking traffic for several hours. Things were initially blocked at 1st Avenue to Mickelson Drive, as well as at Dorothy Street crossing between Reed Avenue and Fulton Drive. In a statement to CBC News, CN Rail said that the train was transporting empty rail cars and that no fires or leaks occurred and no one was hurt. CN is investigating the cause. Now, Regina police say traffic has resumed at all rail crossings. We will be back after the break. "2024 was a big year for politics in Saskatchewan, especially for those watching the legislature and the provincial election. Our political affairs reporter Adam Hunter sat down with the two major party leaders for a look back. Here's some of his conversation with Carla Beck.
How would you characterize the last 12 months or so? It's been a crazy year with an election, and you added to your team. What do you think when you think of 2024?
You know, I think of climbing a mountain. This is how we described the project that was in front of us all year. We knew that we had a mountain to climb. I think at the start of the election, a lot of people wouldn't have picked us to be as close in the race. We believed, and you know, we didn't quite get there, but we're incredibly proud of the progress that we did make, and you see that in the makeup of the House this session.
I know you said there that at the start of the election, or the election campaign, or the start of the year, maybe there wouldn't be an expectation that you would almost double your seats and do so well in the election. But I think on election night, my take from you is that you felt disappointed, that your speech was a little bit, not like, you know, we did it because you didn't win, but that you were a bit let down. Is that a fair assessment?
It is a fair assessment. You know, people that know me would understand I'm incredibly stubborn. As I've said before, you know, watch me bring in groceries. I don't like to make two trips. Our goal was to form government, and we came incredibly close. And again, I'm proud of the work of the team and what we achieved. But there was a little bit of disappointment there because, you know, we weren't in it for second place. I accept the results. I accept that we have more work to do. But we also have a mandate as an opposition that's doubled the number of seats that we hold in that House, and that has a mandate to continue to focus on the things that Saskatchewan people have told us consistently are most important to them.
What are your takeaways from the few days that you had in the House with your group and what you were able to bring forward?
Well, I mean, the first thing is just how incredibly proud I am of the whole team. You know, we had 15 new members. In fact, most of the members in the House right now are brand new MLAs. Our team and the new MLAs in particular, I'll focus on, you know, really did hit the ground running. They came with people's stories that they wanted to raise in the House. They came with petitions based on the things that they see that needs fixing. They performed incredibly well. I've seen them take on their shadow ministry roles with such integrity, and you know, I'm just incredibly proud of them. And again, a focus on the things that are most important to Saskatchewan people.
When you look ahead to next year, and you talked about, you know, commitments to seeing changes in healthcare, seeing changes in education. We have a budget forthcoming. We know that the government's deficit from this year is projected to be higher. What are you looking for in that budget? What are you expecting the government to do to deliver for people in those areas that you said came up during the campaign? They were mentioned also in the throne speech, and they've come up, I think, daily in the House as well.
You know, it's a mixture of hopes and fears. I mean, hopes certainly would be that the government is true to their word when they say that they understand that they need to change, that they have to fix what's broken in healthcare, that they have to start to ensure that all kids in our province have the level of education that we all expect for our kids. But you know, Adam, I was elected in 2016, and I remember what that 2017 budget looked like. where the government wasn't really clear about what the financial situation was in the province during the election. And then the very following year in that budget, we saw devastating cuts to education we've never recovered from. We saw cuts in so many areas. We saw increased costs, doubling the take on the PST. So I guess I approached the budget and the spring sitting with a mixture of hope, again, that we can continue to put forth the case that Saskatchewan people want us to about what needs to be fixed, but also with some trepidation, quite honestly, because I remember, and we still feel the impacts in this province of the decisions made.
Carla, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Year-end clearance is on now.
Our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now, and I'm surprised you're not standing there with a shovel.
Well, I was earlier today, getting out of my place and getting here to work. I think a lot of people were as well. Yeah, we had some pretty significant snowfall amounts in some parts of the province as we saw that storm system move through on Wednesday. Here's a look at some of those totals. Keep in mind that because the wind was so strong and we had a lot of drifting snow, it's a little bit more difficult to pinpoint just how much snow ended up falling. But Regina, best estimates from sort of the volunteer reports and from Environment Canada show kind of in that 10 to 15 centimeter range. Shaunavon, we had a snowpack increase of about 15 centimeters according to a volunteer report out there. And places like Saskatoon, the Battlefords, kind of closer to that 5 centimeter mark, but still picking up some good accumulation over the last 24 hours or so. We had a little bit more snow moving through parts of southern Saskatchewan and in around the Regina area today. A little bit of cloud cover moving through central regions, but by and large, more widespread clearing skies today. The snow has also added to the snowpack on the ground. You see a lot of areas here in purple, especially through parts of south and central. That's in that kind of 12 to 18 centimeter range. I think a few areas probably have a little bit more snow than that. We are going to add to that through the southern half of the province in the next few days, and a lot of us going to be moving into that 12 to 18, 18 to 24 centimeter range for total snow on the ground, with not a lot of melting happening over these next few days at least. And part of the reason for that is this area of high pressure, which is going to bring us quite a chilly night overnight Thursday into Friday. But that moves out and we quickly get increasing cloudiness into many western sections of the province through a lot of south and central. By early Friday morning, we are watching our next system, which is what is adding to that snowpack, moving into the Kindersley area down through the Cypress Hills. By about the noon hour Friday, it's in Regina and Saskatoon down toward the Assiniboia-Gravelbourg area, and then on eastward to the eastern sections of Highway 1 and into Estevan and southeastern Saskatchewan. Then a little skiff of snow. I think this is maybe only a centimeter or two for northern Saskatchewan as we get into Friday night and into Saturday. Few patches of maybe some freezing rain here and there for the weekend, but cloud cover going to remain a major theme for us as we head through that weekend period. Generally tomorrow, I think it's maybe 2 to 4 centimeters we're looking for here, pockets of 5 centimeters, but you see a good swath of south and central expecting that snowfall. And with winds picking up overnight and into Friday, could see a little bit of that blowing snow again, but things should be calming down wind-wise by the time we get into the weekend. So for Regina, in addition to that snow, we are going to see temperatures start warming up here through the weekend. Again, the cloud cover sticking around, but just in time for the arrival of Christmas, we see those temperatures getting much warmer and a lot more substantial sunshine as well. Almost identical picture for Saskatoon. I think maybe 1 to 3 centimeters Friday is the best bet for you. And look at that, just enough snow on the ground to enjoy some winter activities, Sam, but in time for Christmas, looks like things will be warmer so we can actually get outside.
That sounds great. Thanks so much, Ethan.
You're welcome.
When people in Regina want to travel to the western United States, they'll have more opportunities and more options to do so.
An early Christmas gift for the Regina International Airport. They've announced a new direct flight to Denver. It will be operated by United Airlines, and flights are scheduled to start in May, but tickets can be booked now. The airport authority says the new flights will bring more business opportunities to our city and give residents more options when they fly south. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. If you're a fan of online card games, you've likely heard of Ballotro. The wildly popular game was created by a developer from Saskatchewan, and it just won a bunch of big awards. The CEO of the Saskatchewan Esports Association says it showcases our province's talent.
One of the biggest things that happened in the province is there was a massive game that was released by a solo Saskatchewan developer called Local Thunk. It was a game called Ballotro, and it was nominated for a Game of the Year award at the Game Awards, the only North American game to even be offered, let alone Canadian or anything. Yeah, it didn't win Game of the Year, but it did win Best Indie, Best Debut Indie, and Best Mobile Game, which they just launched a mobile version of the game partway through the year, too.
What can you tell me about it?
It's a strange game to describe. What I've been doing is I've been saying it's a sequel to poker. So he pulled that out from, however, so what he did was he said, okay, well, let's take what people recognize. They recognize straights, flushes, full houses, and we're going to put that onto like almost like a Tetris algorithm where there's just combos that you can do into other combos. And instead of having a handful of 3 with the river, you end up having 5 to 8 with combos and different multipliers that you get randomly that, you know, all kind of make this addicting loop of more cards, more combos, 5 of kinds or greats.
And I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable. Ethan is back with one last look at your weather.
Weather for tonight in South and Central. Very, very cold temperatures as you go through the northern grain belt, where we've got some cooling happening there as the skies clear near -30. A little warmer further south where we've got the cloud cover kind of acting as that blanket of warmth a little bit. Maybe a few flurries there as well. But it's into the north where we are actually still seeing extreme cold warnings around the Key and Cree Lake area. Wind chills near -45. A lot of us dropping to around the -30 mark. But we'll watch tomorrow as a little bit of some cloud cover and snow, possibly some light snow moving into western sections of the north, bringing temperatures above -20, but still near -25 a little further eastward. And that snow likely going to be light, a centimeter or 2 probably. For south and central, snow begins in southwestern and west central portions for early Friday morning. And then temperatures increase as that system moves eastward through the day. We're looking at, again, maybe about 5 centimeters, Sam, in most areas.
All right. Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
And a note before we go, I did say Trudeau's proposed cabinet shuffle is going to be Thursday. It's going to be Friday because today is Thursday. And that's it for us tonight. For more news anytime, you can always head to our website, our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.